Going to repeal and replace Obamacare.
We're getting rid of Obamacare. It's going to be repealed and replaced.
I am also calling on this Congress to repeal and replace Obamacare.
And now sources tell Fox News that top Republicans are set to outline their Obamacare replacement plan as early as this week. The GOP promising a bill that protects Americans with pre-existing conditions, expands coverage options, and does away with the penalties for those who opt out of coverage. And we know that President Trump, we know how he feels about the New York Times. Listen.
Down, failing at New York Times. The newspaper's going to hell.
Well, now one columnist for the Times is openly calling on the government to break the law. Nicholas Kristof tweeted, if you're in IRS and have a certain president's tax return that you'd like to leak, my address is NYT, 628th Avenue, New York, New York. By the way, it's a felony to disclose confidential tax information with a 5-year prison sentence. And illegal immigrants in the U.S., if ICE knocks on your door, don't open it, at least according to Mexico. The country's posting this handy video online with some key advice to avoid getting deported. Another warning to those who get detained, don't sign anything. And finally, Barbra Streisand unleashing her latest beef with the Trump administration, blaming the president for making her fat. Yep, the Broadway for Hillary performer tweeting, quote, Donald Trump is making me gain weight. I start the day with liquids, but after the morning news, I eat pancakes smothered in maple syrup. Sounds maybe like a personal problem. I'm not sure.
I'm going to use that excuse from now on.
Politics.
Like
every Monday.
Homework kind of excuse.
I know.
Right.
I did pizza yesterday.
Really?
Yes,
I'm
trying not to do it. Yes, I can't help it. I love it.
I did pizza too. What's the matter
You
with
eat
it?
anything and you don't gain a pound.
We're going to have Oreos coming up.
I know,
it's
National
Oreo Day.
Oreo Day.
I had the strangest thing happen to me yesterday. I went to a Knick game during their big experiment. No sound.
What's their experiment?
What's their big experiment?
They went through an entire half, no announcements, no music.
Oh.
It was like being at a high school basketball game with the most talented people in the world.
You could hear all the screeching.
You could hear
on the
everything.
basketball floor.
You could hear these people sweating. I mean,
So
it was
did you like it?
unbelievable. No, I hated it.
Yeah.
It was
Did your daughter
terrible.
like it? It was her birthday present.
That was her first experience to a Knick game. I go, you have to understand.
So in other words, for your daughter's birthday, you took her to the worst Knick games ever.
Except for when the second half when they brought the stuff back.
And they didn't even win.
Right, I know, but the Warriors were fantastic. The Knicks played well.
All right, but the second half they had music and sound, so she got to experience that.
Exactly. So everything ends happily. That's the way our show ends every day, happily.
That's right. Just like the show, just like the block, just like our days.
There you go. Meanwhile, while some governors vow to fight the White House, the governor of Mississippi, Phil Bryant, is already taking steps to crack down on illegal immigration. He is going to join us live. We will have the sound for him coming up.
I think I'm giving Joel a headache.
I know, Joel's shaking his head.
And you've seen the headlines about the White House and Russia, but is it all just a distraction? All right, President Trump is set to sign a new executive order on immigration. It's happening today, one of the several steps he's taken to protect our border. And while many governors have pushed back against the White House, our next guest says he will do all he can to assist the president. Joining us right now to talk about these steps, he's taking on his own is Mississippi State Governor Phil Bryant. Governor, when you heard these words from the president and he got elected on being tough on illegal immigration, you realized you could help when?
Well, before that, we've been trying, Brian, for years during the Obama administration to, for example, in November of 2008, I sent a letter to the president saying we do not want Syrian refugees here in Mississippi. Very early in this process, we looked at the cost of what illegal immigration was in Mississippi, some $25 million a year. So we were working and struggling through the Obama years to try to say, if you will, let us enforce the laws of illegal immigration here in the state of Mississippi. There was a program called Secure Cities we were once trying to be a part of so we could help enforce those immigration laws through our Department of Public Safety. So when the president said this, I was encouraged by the fact that we now have a president that will work with governors. Our first responsibility is public safety, and that includes certainly making sure we know who is in our state, why they are here, if they violated federal laws if they are criminals themselves, and how we can identify them, get them off the streets, and deport them.
Governor, is it going to be a priority? For example, if you're living there illegally, I get that you broke the law by being there, but is there a priority in which you're going to be looking for illegals?
Well, of course, we will follow the lead of Homeland Security, General Kelly, and ICE, but one of the things we will look is in our detention facilities, do we have individuals that have been arrested and that are illegal immigrants? Are they part of MS-13, the violent gang members, for example? If they have committed those crimes, we want them to pay their responsibility, their duty to serve their sentence here in the state of Mississippi, and then have them deported. Right. We are going to pass a law that says you can't have sanctuary cities in Mississippi, so that you can't hide these individuals from immigration customs.
Yeah, and good. So the governor's going to get on his mayors to comply. Governor Phil Bryant, thanks so much. It was great seeing you last week in D.C., and thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate what the president's doing.
Right, and by the way, one of the fastest growing states in the country, Mississippi. We're like 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. You've seen the headlines about the White House and Russia. And our next guest says, all a distraction. The real story, who's spying on our president? But first, I want to check in with Bill Hemmer.
How you doing, Brian?
I saw him without a tie before, getting ready for his show.
Yeah.
You look all ready now.
That's called the pregame.
Yes.
It was great to see you, by the way. I mean, what a Monday. And what a great lineup we have to take us through all this. The Trump Tower, the Russians, everything in between. Also, the travel ban will come your way this morning. We'll tell you how it's different this time. While all the talk about Russia swirls, North Korea is making another move. What it did late on Sunday, and if that's not enough, we expect to see Republicans put forward its Obamacare replacement plan today. Big morning of news. We'll see you in 10 minutes. Top of the hour, we start a brand new week on America's Newsroom.
Yeah. Good morning, Mark. You know, you've got a great column out, and the final line of the column is Chuck Schumer saying this a month ago.
Let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
Why is that so important?
6 ways to Sunday, they'll get back at you. And I would submit this is the intelligence community's getting back at Donald Trump. It smacks, I mean, as you say, everything is a leak. None of this is official. None of this is publicly stated. It's all leaks through anti-Trump media outlets. So it looks like somebody in the government has collected information on the candidate and then the president-elect and now the president, and is leaking it. This would be a federal crime.
Sure.
Leaking it to outlets that are opposed to his presidency. And it is hard to escape the conclusion that this is a concerted effort from within the government to subvert the president. I don't know how else to see what we're seeing before our eyes.
It does look like that when you look at, you know, was there a warrant in June that they applied for, a criminal warrant, and then they got one through the FISA court in October. But what you're suggesting is extraordinary, where a former administration uses the powers at their fingertips to try to destroy the next guy who's going to sit in the chair.
Now, look, I mean, it was very obvious during the campaign that the Obama White House was doing everything it can above board to stop him. Whether they were doing these things underneath, I mean, of course, President Obama denied President Trump's claim that he had personally ordered a wiretap of Trump's phones. But I think there's, you know, within those denials, there's a lot of room for other things. Sure. And clearly there was some surveillance going on. How else do they know that Jeff Sessions met twice with the Russian ambassador? How else do they know what Flynn said to the Russian ambassador? Now, it may be that the Russian ambassador is being tapped, or it may be that Flynn was being tapped and that Sessions was being surveilled. And it may be that Trump, we just don't know, except that something was going on within the government against the Trump associates.
And there's a curious tweet floating around this morning that talks about something Hillary said just before the election.
October 31st, Hillary apparently says in a tweet that computer scientists have found a link between Trump Tower and a Russian bank.
Now, who are the computer?
Yeah.
Somebody from IBM called her? Somebody from Microsoft?
And her campaign apparently puts out a statement October 31st saying this is a secret link to Russia. This will explain Donald Trump's adoration of Vladimir Putin. So this clearly, again, had roots within the Obama administration. Whether the president himself authorized it, approved it, ordered it, we have no way of knowing, but it was going on his watch.
Real quickly, though, you watch the mainstream media, the left is aghast at the suggestion, even by the current president, that the last president might have wiretapped him.
Look, this is a very sensational claim. I mean, there's no two ways around it. This is a
but if
incredibly,
it's true,
if right. And look, frankly, I wish President Trump had done it in a different way. I think that this was so important that it needed to be explained as well as said, and it needed to be argued as well as just simply stated.
I got a feeling there's going to be a couple of investigations. We're going to get to the bottom of it eventually. Michael, thank you very much.